Good morning, students. Today we'll discuss about the some important characteristics and features shown by the members of the animal kingdom. As we know, the members of the Animalia kingdom, they all are multicellular, eukaryotic, as well as there are certain other features which do they exhibit. So let us will discuss the first important feature, which is symmetry. Let us try to understand what is symmetry. Symmetry means the quality of being made up of exactly similar parts facing each other or around an axis. So, in simpler terms, we may try to understand the plane through which we may divide the organism, and if the division, after the division, the animal is divided into two equal halves, then we say the animal is symmetrical. For example, in this case, we may observe the shape of the animal is irregular in shape. If we will try to divide the animal through any plane passing through its central axis, we are unable to divide the animal into two equal halves. So in this case, we may observe the animal is asymmetrical, means the line which is passing through the central axis, suppose the line which is passing through this central axis, we cannot divide the animal into two equal halves. Suppose this line, if it is passing through the central axis, again we are unable to divide the animal into two equal halves. If suppose this line is passing through the central axis, again we are unable to divide the animal into two equal halves. So means in this case, the animal cannot be divided into two equal halves in any of the condition when the line is passing through the central axis. So the animal would be called as asymmetrical animals. For example, the members of the poriferans, the most commonly known as sponges. So these poriferans, they exhibit asymmetrical nature. Their body cannot be divided into two equal halves through any of the plane. Now there is second type of symmetry, which is called as radial symmetry. Radial symmetry means when any plane passing through the central axis of the body divides the organism into two equal halves. Means when we may understand in simpler words, when any plane passing through the central axis of the animal divides the animal into two equal halves is known as radial symmetry. For example, in this case, we may observe we have divided the animal in this way. These two halves would be equal and they would be showing radial symmetry. If we divide the animal horizontally, again we may get two equal halves. Likewise, in this case, if we divide the organism and the line is passing through the central axis, again we may get two equal halves. If this is the line which is dividing the animal and passing through the central axis, again we are getting two equal halves of the animal. So this type of symmetry is known as radial symmetry. For example, the members of the coelentrates, ctenophorans and echinoderms, they show the radial symmetry. In the case of echinoderms, the adult forms, they exhibit the radial symmetry, whereas the larval forms of the echinoderms, they exhibit another type of symmetry, which is bilateral symmetry. For example, the members of coelentrates, these exhibit radial symmetry. The members of Ctenophora, they do also exhibit radial symmetry. For example, the members of the echinoderms, they do also exhibit radial symmetry. These adult forms, they do exhibit radial symmetry, whereas the larvae or the larval stages of the echinoderms, they exhibit bilateral symmetry. Now, the third type of symmetry, which is bilateral symmetry, means when the animal can be divided into two equal halves when the line is passing through only one plane passing through the central axis. Means, suppose if we try to divide through this plane, we may observe we can't divide the animal into two equal halves. Means, through in each and every condition, only through one plane we can divide the animal into two equal halves, which would be the case which is exhibited upon the diagram, in which we may observe the animal can be divided into two equal halves when the plane is passing through the central axis, and that can be divided only through one way. We can say only through one plane we can divide the animal into two equal halves which is passing through the central axis. So this type of symmetry is known as bilateral symmetry. The symmetry is exhibited by the members of the group Platyhelminths, Aschelminths, Annelida, Arthropoda, Mollusca, larval forms of echinoderms, as well as chordates. So, one more thing we may observe, the animals which are having separate anterior ends and posterior ends, they do exhibit bilateral symmetry. The members of amphibians also, the members of reptiles, the members of aves or birds group, the members of the mammalia group, they also exhibit bilateral symmetry. Now we'll discuss the next characteristic feature, which are germinal layers. Means we know each and every organ within the body is derived from certain germ cell or germ layer. We may observe here, suppose in this case, this is the outer layer, outer germinal layer, and this is the in between layer present just to the internal layer. So the outer layer is known as ectoderm and the innermost layer is known as endoderm, whereas in between these two, ectoderm and endoderm, and undifferentiated cells or the undifferentiated layer is present in between the ectoderm and endoderm, and all the organs present within the animal, they are derived from either the ectoderm or the endoderm. So the animals, they are called as diploblastic animals. For example, the members of the poriferans, coelentrates and ctenophorans, they exhibit diploblastic condition, whereas in the other case, we may observe the outermost layer is called the ectoderm, the innermost germinal layer is known as endoderm, and in between these two, a third layer is present which is called as mesoderm. So all the organs in this case may be either ectodermal in origin or mesodermal in origin or endodermal in origin, or maybe due to in combination in between two of the germinal layers. So we may observe here the animals is exhibiting three types of germinal layers, so the animal is called as triploblastic animals. For example, all the members of the platyhelminths, and from platyhelminths onwards all the members. For example, Aschelminths, Annelida, Arthropoda, Mollusca, Echinodermata, Hemichordata, Urochordata, then chordates, vertebrates. So all the members from onwards platyhelminths, they exhibit triploblastic condition within themselves. Now we'll discuss the most important topic, which is called as coelom, also known as body cavity. Means the cavity present in between the body wall and the alimentary canal. So if there is a cavity in between the body wall and the alimentary canal, the animal is called as coelomate. Means true cavity it would bear, but there should be certain aspects regarding the lining of the cavity. For example, in the case of true coelomate animals, we may see this is the gut wall or the alimentary canal. This one is the body wall, and in between there is the cavity present, and this cavity is lined by mesoderm lining. If the cavity is lined by mesoderm lining, then it would be called true coelomate. For example, the animals from Annelida to Mammalia, they are true coelomate animals, means true body cavity is present. Whereas in the another condition, we may observe the body wall, the gut wall or the alimentary canal, and in between the cavity are present in pouches scattered within it. In this case, it would be called as false coelom, means pseudocoelomate. And whereas in the case of acoelomate, means the body cavity is not present. The body wall, there is no space in between the body wall and the alimentary canal. It is filled with the cells. So in this case, the animal would be called as acoelomate. For example, the members of the Porphyrin, Coelentrates, Ctenophores and Platyhelminths, they belong to the category of acoelomate animals. Whereas in the case of pseudocoelomates, means false coelom is present, means the body cavity is scattered as pouches and it is not lined by the mesoderm. It is called as pseudocoelomate. For example, Aschelminths, the group of the roundworms. And whereas in the case of coelomate, when the body cavity is present but it is internally lined by the mesoderm. So in this case, it would be called as coelomate animals. For example, the group from Annelida onwards to Mammalia, they are coelomate or true coelomate animals. Now we'll discuss about the next aspect, which is segmentation. Means when the body of the animal can be divided externally as well as internally also into segments, and there would be certain serial repetition of at least some organs, is called as segmentation. For example, in the case of earthworm, do we observe that the body is divided externally also, that is clear cut visible to us, whereas it is also divided internally also, and there is certain repetition of serial repetition of some at least some organs, and the segments in this case they are known as metameres, and the segment is called as metameric segmentation. So having the segments externally as well as internally also, and repetition of least some organs, is known as metameric segmentation or metamerism. Now we'll discuss about the notochord. As notochord, it is mesodermally derived structure which is rod-like structure present upon the dorsal side during the embryonic development in certain animals. So animals having notochord, they are called as chordates. For example, vertebrates, the fishes, amphibians, reptiles, apes and mammalia. In all these groups of animals, we may observe presence of notochord, which is rod-like structure present on the dorsal side, and the group of animals are known as chordates, whereas the group of animals in which this notochord-like structure is absent, is not present, they are called as non-chordates. For example, from Porifera to the echinoderms, the members belonging to Poriferans to echinoderms, they do not show the presence of notochord. So they are called as non-chordates. So we have discussed about the different characteristics exhibited by the animals till so far here. Thank you. Have a nice day.